Are happening in just a few minutes. San Francisco supervisors and local immigrants' rights advocates will hold a news conference to discuss solidarity with those who are in the country undocumented. These are live pictures from the steps of San Francisco City Hall. This is called the San Francisco Unity Rally for Immigrant Rights Tax Day Protest. Now, you might have heard this. The Internal Revenue Service and immigration authorities signed an agreement in which the IRS would share immigration information with immigration agents on people who are in the country undocumented. ICE officers can ask IRS for information about immigrants who have final orders of removal or are under criminal investigation. Many parts of the actual agreement, the 15-page document that was signed, were redacted, making it difficult to understand exactly what the IRS agreed to share. But that has got protests like these popping up across the country here. People upset that the federal government now using confidential data from the IRS in their efforts to target immigrants in the country, whether their status is legal or not. We'll keep following the story and carry it for you live once this demonstration starts.
A federal judge ruled the Trump administration can't revoke deportation protections or work permits for migrants. This applies to migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Those people entered the U.S. legally under a Biden-era program. The Trump administration was attempting to end the legal status of hundreds of thousands of people by April 24th. The judge says ending legal protection, called immigration parole, cannot happen unless each case is reviewed.
Governor Newsom and other state lawmakers are speaking out against federal threats to California's climate pollution reduction program. The governor, State Senator Mike McGuire, and Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas announced they'll seek an extension of California's nation-leading cap-and-trade program this year. It's designed to reward companies that lower greenhouse gas emissions. Last week, President Trump signed an executive order aimed at ending state and local climate change laws. He called the state programs an overreach and says the requirements in California are impossible to hit.
California lawmakers have signed off on nearly $3 billion in state funds for California's Medicaid program. The healthcare program was already struggling and running out of money before the recent major federal cuts from the Trump administration. Medi-Cal's funding is running out due to high enrollment, increased pharmaceutical costs, and other factors. Lawmakers, though, disagree about whether or not undocumented immigrants should have access to Medi-Cal benefits. Former President Joe Biden returns to the national stage today. He'll speak in Chicago at the National Convention of Advocates, Counselors, and Representatives for the Disabled. It's his first big public speech since he left office in January. He's expected to discuss health care and Social Security and frame these issues in advance of next year's midterm elections.
Well, let's get back to that immigration rally that's happening on the steps of City Hall, and let's listen to Supervisor Bilal Mahmoud, who is going to be speaking there at the podium right now.
To the Director of the Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs, to our Assessor Recorder, we have representatives from the San Francisco Democratic Party, and we have immigrant rights activists from across the city who have gathered here today to send a clear message. In this city, we do not tolerate threats on our residents, and we stand together now and always to protect the privacy and human rights of our immigrant community. Last week, when I heard the reports emerge that the IRS had entered into an agreement to share data on undocumented immigrants with ICE, I thought of the Arab, Muslim, and Latino immigrant families in the Tenderloin, the Ethiopian immigrant community in the Fillmore, and countless communities throughout the city who work day in and day out, who are simply trying to live out the American dream. I think of my own family who immigrated to this country over 40 years ago to live out that same promise of the American dream, a dream that is now threatened daily by the actions of our federal government. We've seen these targeted attacks before. During the first Trump administration, we saw a Muslim ban that made so many in our communities lose their sense of safety in their very homes. And we hear ICE deportation threats spread fear in our communities. Now our hard-working, tax-paying residents are being put at risk for contributing to the economic prosperity and social fabric of our country. And on what should be an extremely normal day on our calendar, Tax Day, April 15th, is instead now a sense of stress and anxiety and consternation for the communities that make up the backbone of our city. The actions of the federal government, we're here today to say, do not represent us here in San Francisco. On this tax day, we stand with our heads high, unified and unshakable in our support of the children, families, and seniors in our immigrant community whose contributions to our city are immeasurable. We stand to take action. Today, I will be introducing a resolution in today's chambers reaffirming our city's non-cooperation with identity-based registry ordinance to uphold our constitutional rights and to show San Francisco will continue to oppose efforts by the federal government to infringe upon the civil rights of city residents. This resolution is endorsed by AROC, Mission Action, and the African Advocacy Network, and I'm thankful for their support, as well as to my Board of Supervisor colleagues, Supervisor Fielder, Melgar, and Dorsey, for their early co-sponsorship. Democracy thrives on diversity. It thrives on community, and I can think of no better city than San Francisco where that rings true. Through our unwavering collective power, we can overcome this, and we will overcome many things to come. Our city has been a beacon of hope, and in these stormy times, we must continue to let the light of people illuminate our future with the democratic values that have always guided us through dark times. We must let our hope be stronger than our fear, and we must not fear. To the immigrants of our community and our city, we see you, we stand with you, and we will continue to fight for you today and always. Thank you. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, my colleague, District 9 Supervisor Jackie Fielder.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Mahmoud. Thank you all so much for being here today. Today we're here to send a clear and very powerful message. We will not comply with discrimination. We're not going to support, cooperate with, or participate in the creation of any registry based on religion, ethnicity, or national origin by any government or agency now or ever. We as a city have never shied away from standing up for what is right, even when it means challenging the status quo or not complying with it. This resolution reaffirms that legacy. It ensures that no resident will be targeted, profiled, or discriminated against because of who they are, where they come from, or how they worship. We are a city that thrives on the strength of our differences, celebrates the richness of our multiculturalism, and stands up for the values that define us, including dignity and equality for all. That is why I authored and then unanimously passed Board of Supervisors resolution affirming San Francisco's commitment to uphold the city's long-standing sanctuary city ordinance. That is why I have been vocal in my fight to ensure that the Lurie administration doesn't cut legal funding for our immigrant community, and I stand firmly with international students exercising their fundamental rights to free speech by protesting against a genocide and who deserve to do so without fear of deportation. This isn't about just saying no to harmful policies. It's about saying yes to civil rights, yes to freedom of speech, yes to human dignity, and yes to an inclusive spirit that defines us as a city in San Francisco. This is who we are. We will stay vigilant, we will stay united, and we will not back down. Thank you.
Next, we have our board president, Raphael Middleman.
Thank you, Supervisor Mahmoud, for gathering us here today. Thank you as well, Supervisor Fielder, for your leadership on these issues since you joined us back in January and before that. The daily stories of offenses against our Constitution, against due process, against the First Amendment, and against the basic freedoms that people in the United States are supposed to enjoy is awful. And I think there's a tendency for some of us in Blue America to feel that, well, we just We just need to focus on making things work here, and if we just do that, we'll show the rest of the country that our values are right and correct. And to an extent, I believe that is important. It is also important to call out and oppose offenses against our Constitution. And that's what you're doing here today, Supervisor Mahmoud, and that's what you've gathered us for. For anyone who thinks, and we would be here if the threat were simply to undocumented immigrants, because we are San Franciscans and we care about everyone who is here. But this is not just a threat to undocumented immigrants. This is a threat to people with status, to people who have been here for decades and longer, to people who have green cards, to people who are applying for citizenship, and I fully expect and believe that this will become a threat over the next 4 years to people who were born here, who have expressed the wrong things, who can be spirited away at any point in the day or night because of their opposition to this administration. That is not America. So we will oppose unconstitutional laws. We will not implement unconstitutional laws in San Francisco, and we will protect all of our people. We disagree about some things, some of us up here. We do not disagree on those points that we are going to take care of our people and that you can express your views freely in this country without fearing that you will be kicked out because of it.
All right, you're just listening to San Francisco Board Supervisor Raphael Mendelman. He's speaking at that San Francisco Unite rally for immigrant rights tax day protest being held on this day specifically, now that the Internal Revenue Service and immigration authorities have reached a memorandum of understanding which will allow IRS to share data with immigration authorities on people in the country illegally. Some people, in fact, who are in the country illegally still work and they pay taxes, billions of dollars, in fact, by having a tax ID number. But right now, that information could be turned over to immigration authorities if they are looking for someone who they say falls within a criteria of committing crimes and need to be deported. That is what this rally is all about. We'll continue listening to it for you and have more for you on later newscasts.
Download Fox Local for more videos on demand.